I think as one of persons advocating for mitigation of greenhouse gases, I think we have to take a close look at three gases. It's not just carbon dioxide. We have to take a look at methane generation and also nitrous oxide generation. So if a structural approach to make our own contribution to the world. By the way, I must say this, that the Philippines is a minor contribution to the whole thing. But I feel that a sense of our oneness and our solidarity with humanity as a whole, we have to do our part in a way that is responsible and not disadvantageous to us. So, in terms of greenhouse emissions due to climate change, the carbon targets are clear. The global target with the Copenhagen summit is, they actually are moving towards 400 parts per million and a little beyond. I think we should move towards 350 parts per million, which is the upper limit when we can destabilize the climate, number one. Number two, many have neglected methane. Methane emissions in this country are coming mostly from solid waste, the garbage. Metro Manila is 50 to 60% biological waste, and we're generating about 7,000 tons of waste a day. So can you imagine if we're able to properly dispose this, we actually reduce our methane emissions. And there's a wonderful technology, many people know this. This is the vermiculture technology. Worm castings are one of the richest sources of organic fertilizers, and you don't need large areas to compost 7,000 tons of or less than 5,000 tons of biological waste. The third source of major greenhouse gas emissions is agriculture. And this is not too well known, it's not too discussed. But all over the world, about a third of greenhouse gas emissions are agriculture-based through the massive use of chemical fertilizers. So I was mentioning to Ricky earlier, I'm going to be introducing organic farming in a nationwide scale because, among others, organic farming will cut down nitrous oxide emission. Nitrous oxide comes from the heavy usage of chemical nitrogen, especially urea, which is heavily used, fertilizer. Many people don't know that 1 ton of chemical fertilizer, urea, uses 5 tons of fossil fuels to manufacture. So you can imagine already the greenhouse contribution. Then once you put the thing on the soil, less than 10% is used. The rest of the 90% produce nitrous oxide, which is 200 times more destructive than carbon dioxide in terms of greenhouse gas. Very few people know this. They're not even talking about it. That's why they say it's great organic farming. They found out in the United States, if organic farming was introduced on a nation scale, it will cut down the greenhouse gas emissions of the US by 1/3. I mean, that's massive. So we can do the same. We can do our share, and in fact improve our ecology, improve our health, because we're eating a lot of junk food, which is actually also food with a lot of pesticides. We're eating without the proper monitoring, which is also one area that I'm going to brief on. I'm going to introduce the kinds of instruments that will allow us to monitor the kind of pesticide levels we're eating, because we're slowly killing ourselves as a people. Cancer rates are increasing in this country, diabetes rates, heart disease rates. This is part of the overall approach. So the question is a kind of greenhouse emission and with agriculture, lifestyle, consumption. This is all interrelated. That doesn't have to be the case. In fact, when I was still producing and marketing organic vegetables, I told my staff, if something is very easy to grow without chemicals, just put a premium like 5% without fee. So if something is 10 pesos, sell it for 10.50. If something is 30, sell it for 31.50. But the others are like doubling, charging 100% more. I think that doesn't have to be done. There's a success story here which I would like to highlight because very few people know this. There's a little secret that I want you to know in connection with this. And I'm very happy with this story because I actually helped the farmers who made this possible. There is a cooperative in Benguet. This cooperative of about 50 organic farmers, they set their price. It's the same price to a week. And I know this because we buy vegetables from them. During Typhoon Ondoy, when some of the prices of the vegetables were ridiculously high, they maintained the price. They did not take advantage. It was organic, but lettuce, which was selling at 400, 500 pesos a kilo, was selling for them at 150 pesos a kilo.
So what do you find their process?
No, exactly. So I'm announcing this, and would you know how to get in touch with them? They are fantastic. I mean, we should really help them. I trained these farmers in the 1990s. I'm so happy that until today, they're still alive, functioning, and growing. I was the one who provided technical assistance to the leadership of this movement way back in the 1990s. The fact that they are not the type to take advantage of disasters like Ondoy.
So they have branches here.
Yeah. We're actually planning to distribute the vegetables. We're going to start a trading system, which will probably also help finance the campaign. Sarili tayo. So anyway, but what I'm saying is that such farmers do exist. They are a large exception, the majority. Because for me, for example, it's ridiculous to sell alugbati. You know what alugbati is? Alugbati is a shot, 120 pesos a kilo. Alugbati is like a weed. It's so difficult to kill it. And you're selling it at 120 pesos a kilo. It can survive under flooding conditions. You know. Anyways, that's a whole other story. Because that's my background in culture.